Hello, this is Ryan with Deepwood Handcraft, bringing you this video today from what was a clear blue sky, sunny day here in Alaska. The leaves are just about all off the trees now, and fall is in full effect. Shortly it will be winter here. It's supposed to snow tomorrow. Not sure how that's going to go, if it'll just keep snowing and then be winter, or I don't anticipate it being too warm. It's getting down to about 15 degrees now at night. Freezing pretty solid. It's pretty cold out here right now. It's probably 35, 40, 35 I would say. But anyway, been waiting to make this video for a very long time, and I'm extremely happy to be making it because it means that this leather backpack is finished finally, and ready to pack this thing up and get it out the door and move on in full swing towards finishing, getting caught up, and then moving forward with newer, better things. Still in the leathercraft world, but new designs and stuff I've been waiting to do for a very long time. But anyway, we're going to take a fairly in-depth look at this pack, and I'll explain some things about it. But first, before we get into all that, yes, I know it is very heavy. It weighs about 30 pounds empty. The person who commissioned this pack knew it would be heavy. He and I worked very closely on the design. For every step of the way, I explained what the weight would be. He is a grizzly bear of a man, and is content to carry loads far beyond what I am personally content to carry. And to each his own, I always say. So for all the haters who will say wait, I've already done it for you, you can go now. So I'm very happy with the way it turned out. Yes, it is very heavy. I personally, it's not my cup of tea, but I will be making canvas versions based on this design. Not necessarily this exact thing, but canvas versions of pack based on this design with some leather accoutrement, maybe a little less brass hardware, and that will lighten the load significantly while still keeping the essence of the thought behind the design. So keep your eye open for that. Those packs will probably be machine made, or sewn on a machine, I mean, because hand sewing canvas, I've never done that before, but it seems a little less necessary, I guess. I don't know. So we'll see how all that goes. That won't be for a little bit yet, I would assume. But so for cost for this pack, just depending on the details, probably change the design up a little bit since this was the very first one. Didn't know what I was doing. Though it turned out well, I probably would change a few things on the next one, just since I've done one. Kind of have a better idea for what it would be, going into it. I wouldn't make another one of these like this, starting at probably $3,500, and this exact pack probably not less for $5,000. If you are gasping at that cost right now, that is fine. If no one ever wants to place an order for another one of these, that is fine with me. I'll be happy to not make another one of these packs like this by hand. It was a project far beyond me. It was a project that nearly crushed my confidence as a designer and maker of leather goods. It was really an experience to make this thing. My head is in no way swelled up about it. I am fully aware of my limitations, and I had to trample some of those and go a little further than what I was comfortable with in making this, just to get everything to work. And miraculously, and by the grace of God, at the very end it all came together. I don't attribute that to any great amount of my ability. That's just the way it happened. So without any further ado, we'll get into this, and hope you like what you see. Feel free to like, share, and comment. I'm a big boy, I can handle it.
Is where you're tucking this?
Yeah, just wherever. Get it out of the way.
Are you gonna give an introduction before you
I'll give an introduction after. Somebody is shooting something.
Are you filming?
Yeah, a little behind the scenes.
Alright, I think I'm in.
Alright. Alright, so here we have Aaron modeling the pack so that I don't have to wrestle with it. To film it. Alright, so here for a closer look at what all of this is. I'll post the dimensions for all this stuff in the video description. All of these pouches are removable via these 3 belts, and we'll take a look at that exploded in just a moment. So you've got a shorter and a taller pouch on the side, same depth and width. This is a Buckeye shoulder bag with one simple modification on the back for the belt to go through. This is just the strap held under the closing straps and the handle. This can be put just about anywhere, it's just where I've got it right now. So this is just a standard Buckeye. Up here we've got, I want to say roll up, but they're more like fold up dump pouches, and we'll take a closer look at these. I'm going to make a separate video on these because these will be available for sale now that we've worked out the design on those. Kind of a handy little piece. This is a modified fire pouch, and we'll take a good close look at this in just a moment. Another dump pouch, same thing on this side. 2 big pouches. On the bottom is the bedroll strapping. We'll take a closer look at all of that in just a moment. Shoulder straps are lots of adjustment. Waist belt in the front, it's got a lumbar pad on it. Chest strap, shoulder pads. So let's take this thing apart and I'll show you all of that. Alright, so this video has been much anticipated, at the very least by me and the fella who purchased this pack long ago, before it was even designed. It's made of, the body is all made of Kodiak oiled utility hide. The strapping for the most part is Wicket and Craig oiled work harness, along with some of this stuff in the shoulder straps, and the waist strap are Wicket and Craig saddle skirting. It's about 1/4 inch thick, 14 to 16 ounce. It's been treated with beeswax and various products like Obanoff. Then the rest of this stuff is veg tan. Some of the thinner stuff for the lids, like 6 to 7 ounce. And then the strapping for the bag is a mix between 10 ounce veg tan and Wicket and Craig saddle harness. It's all antique brass buckles antiqued by me, solid brass D-rings, copper rivets are all hand peened with a ball peen hammer, and I'll do a separate video on how I peen the rivets soon, because it's not just a slap it through, put the washer on and smash it flat kind of thing. I dome it off with the ball peen. It's kind of a process, but I think it's worth it. So let's take this thing apart. Getting the pouches off is quite a bit easier than getting them back on again, and that's just because of where the buckles for the strapping are. I would recommend carrying the 7/16 2 crescent wrenches for the bolts that are on this. And the bolts hold the shoulder padding or straps, the back panel, and the pack all to the frame. So everything is completely 100% removable from the frame if you want to use the frame for something else, or if you're on a hunting trip, you can get to hunt camp and take this stuff off to leave at camp and carry your belt pouches and your shoulder bag while you're hunting, and the pack can just chill, and you can still leave all of this stuff on the frame to pack your game out on the frame if that's what you're doing. It's not a high-speed, low-drag sort of item, as Adam from Equipped to Endure would say. It's definitely going to be something where you're going to have to think about it a little bit and plan it. It's not something you're just going to drop the thing off, expect to take everything off and be on the run with it. That's not what it's designed for. But if you are in an extended stay camp scenario, it's not difficult to take the belt pouches off in the shoulder bag, leave your pack at camp, and just carry the shoulder bag and the belt pouches. All of the strapping for this stuff is made to the waist size of the guy that bought it, so that he can wear them as belts should he choose to do that. All the padding is, this is actually French calf and sheepskin with the fleece left on it is what makes the padding. So let's get in. It's kind of easier if you untie these lashings, which are not 100% necessary. They just kind of keep everything nice and tight. You've got your gear packed in here and you don't want it moving around on you. And these are leather lace cut from that Wicket and Craig work harness. It's easily replaceable with something else like paracord, or even a lighter weight leather lace. But I had it and it looks good in the photo, so I used it for. It's kind of overkill though. But whatever you have on here for this application could also be used to lash your game to the pack if it's quartered. Up here in Alaska, we don't really have anything small game wise, except for maybe caribou. Aren't much bigger than a deer or something you might be used to in the lower 48. A moose, I would hate to pack a moose out by myself on a frame pack, unless I was making several trips and it was not far from camp. So now we've got this all untied, and I'm not going to take it completely off. I just wanted it to kind of be loosened up for this next part, which is taking the now having those wrenches take this nut off, or at least loosen it up to get to this. You only really have to undo this one nut if you just want to make it really easy on yourself to get these buckles off of the pack. And because of the design, this was just the best place to put them, was behind this pad here. And you can see with the lace undone, that gives you room to kind of get in here. The bottom one is underneath, so it's easy to get to. The top one is the most difficult because of where it's at, but taking it off is pretty simple, as you can see. Putting it on is really not that difficult. It's just getting the strap ends on the back. And so that was the hardest part with taking this stuff off. You can see these pouches have the belt loops on the back, so that's an instant belt pouch. And if you're smart about how you're packing these, then you can have designated kits in each one of these pouches. And you know, if you want to mark it or just remember where you put it, then you'll know what your kits are in the place that you've put them, so that you can just take the kits right off, throw them on your belt, know what's what and what's where, and be on your way if you're hunting or hiking or scouting or whatever you're wanting to do. I'll go ahead and take a quick look at this roll-up dump pouch. This is just a piece of leather lace. It's tied around. It goes through this D-ring. You don't have to take it all the way off. If you just move it to the back, you can hang this thing up on something in camp, and this is just designed to be a dump pouch. It's pretty spacious, lots of room if you're out foraging or gathering, or you just want a pouch hung up around camp to be able to hold stuff you're going to be using. This is Nomad oiled hides. This is really nice stuff. It's nice and pliable. It's a little bit thin. It's not nearly as thick as the Kodiak, but different weight leathers for different applications, I believe. And it's really nice stuff. It's nice and rugged. If you scratch it up, it rubs right out. This is going to last a really long time if you take care of it. It's really, really good stuff in my opinion. So it does have a cinch on it, so if you do have it full and you want to be able to take it back to camp without spilling your stuff out, or if it's raining or whatever, you can just fold that down, bring this down, back around it, and tie it up however you want to do it. You can tie it back through the D-ring, and even if this thing is 100% full, this is enough slack to tie it back however you want to do it, to keep it nice and secure on your belt. It does have a belt loop on the back also, so you can carry it on your belt while you're out doing what you're doing. These things are going to be available for individual sale, so this will be a new product that we carry from now on. Might do a little bit of redesigning and offer different sizes and stuff, but this is not an original idea. The roll-up dump pouch kind of thing, Maxpedition makes the roly-poly. It's based on that, not design, but that idea of having a pouch that can roll up into a smaller container. All of these belt keepers have another piece of veg tan on the inside of the bag behind them, so that you're not going to pull this out of this hide. Everything is reinforced with veg tan on the back side. And these copper rivets are never, ever, ever coming out of there. At least not without destroying the backpack to get them off. And I know that because I've made mistakes and tried to take the rivets off to fix the project, and it's not on this one, but previous. So this is a fire pouch, room for a lighter or a small folding knife, ferro rod loop, D-ring for hanging, another D-ring on the side, and a nice size pouch for a multi-tool and maybe some smaller contents. I think this would probably fit an Altoids 10 pouch. I'm not positive on that. Belt loop on the back. The inside of this pouch does have a wet formed Hudson Bay pocket for Hudson Bay tin, and also a little sleeve pocket. So this is a pretty useful little pouch. Drawstring, just keep it all nice and tight. So like I've said before, you can get the fire pouch thing on any pouch that we make that's big enough to support that width. All of our pouches are customizable, so you can throw components from any pouches on the site onto any other pouches, or come up with a complete original design all your own, that kind of thing. Another dump pouch. The other side pouch. And then the belt. These belts are also made of the Wicket and Craig work harness, so they're not as thick as the saddle skirting, which is what the waist belt is, but they're still very nice belts that should last a very long time. And they do come with another slack keeper that didn't come out with the belt, in case you're wearing it over top of your winter gear. So your side pouches on the bottom are a bit bigger, a little bit taller than the top. Give you a little more space. That's quite a large pouch in my opinion. And I'm going to go ahead and undo the bottom belt too, because this shoulder bag is held on by two belts, just so that nothing is stressed terribly by the weight of the contents on the bag. On the bag itself. It's nice and supported. And this would be easier to do from the front, but since we're taking a video. And also, as this gets used and put on and taken off, it'll loosen up a little bit. Like I've said before, over and over and over again, I always make stuff really tight to start with, so that it's, when it breaks in, it's just right, as opposed to making it just right to start with and then you get to using it and breaking it in and then it's too loose. I'm not really a fan of loosey-goosey gear. I like stuff to be nice and tight the way it's supposed to be. Everything riding around without rattling. So there's the buckeye, there's the piece on the back. The belts go through these closing straps and also through this piece of edge tan, which I don't know how well you can see, but I've got another piece underneath just to give it a little depth for the slap to stride through. And then on the inside of the bag there's also another solid piece that goes all the way to catch the stitching and the rivets on the back side of this bag so that it doesn't put too much stress on the softer hide. Everything is nice and reinforced. And so if you haven't seen a full buckeye video, cruise back in the list of videos on my channel and you will see the video explaining these bags. And so the bottom belt only holds on the buckeye. The belt loops at the top of this catch this middle belt, and the bottom belt rides underneath. So if you wanted to throw something on the sides of that, you could. I doubt that you would want to throw anything much more on the outside of this bag. So this whole pack is stuffed with this packing paper, and by stuffed I mean as compressed as I could get it in there. Just to give it the form for the photos and video, so you can get an idea of what it'll look like when you've got it stuffed with gear. How much gear you put in it is obviously up to whoever owns it. Alright, so you can see now the bag with all of the stuff removed. The good thing about this leather is that these scratchies will just rub right out, and that's just from the stuff being on the bag. No problem at all there. This is really good hide. It'll last a really long time if you take care of it. You can see all of the slack keepers. Like I said, all of this stuff is reinforced on the inside of the bag. Alright, so the lid of the pack. Just go ahead and open it up and I'll explain this. These straps have enough space here, as you can see, to strap stuff to the top. If it was me, I might be more inclined to try to get my blankets up on top and maybe my tent and tarp stuff on the bottom, so that if you have to cross any water that happens to be high, your bed will not get wet, where it does not matter nearly as much if your shelter gets wet, depending on what kind of shelter you're carrying. You can shake most of that water off, and then hanging it up obviously should help evaporate it a little bit. It's much better, in my opinion, to have a little bit of water dripping on you than to have your bedding soaked. So I've allowed enough space up here to carry whatever you want. Clothing or winter gear or blankets or shelter. That's my take on it anyway. And so what I've done here is I've made basically a leather hinge system. I got a veg tan panel here and then a veg tan panel on the pack right about here. The edges are reinforced with a folded over piece of the Kodiak hide, just to give that edge a little bit more, make it a little more robust. You can see on the inside here that in between those two plates on the inside is a piece of veg tan that's sewn on top of this plate, or on the bottom of this plate and on top of the plate underneath. And that's also, the top plate is riveted on with the straps. So that should hold up very well. This plate goes all the way through to the edge where this edging is sewn on. And so that opens real nicely. You get everything you need to get to. I'm not going to take all this packing paper out. You can just trust me that it's reinforced on the inside. Got these side panels of edge tan all the way down just to kind of help give the pack a little bit of structure so that it's not just flopping all over on you, and also kind of provides more of a flat surface for the side pouches to sit against instead of having your gear bulging out all funny, so that'll ride a little better. The nut for the shoulder strap is reinforced by a veg tan washer and a metal washer, and these are grade 8 bolts, which are the strongest that I can get my hands on around here. So the pack, the back panel, and the shoulder strap are all bolted onto the frame. And this is not my design necessarily. This is what the pack was set up for with the original nylon strapping and back panel that came with it. So once again, there's another leather washer, a metal washer, and then a nylon lock nut. And putting this stuff back on, undoing this nut, just so you can get a little bit more room here, makes it putting the pack back together much easier. It's not necessary, but I recommend you're going to have the wrenches with you anyway, just for the utility sake of it. If you're wanting to take the pack off for hunting or whatever you're wanting to do, it would be a good idea to have 2 of those wrenches. And you can just get the little stubbies and carry them somewhere in the pack. But that makes it so much easier. Take this nut off, that way you can kind of pull this panel away. At the bottom here, this lumbar pad is held on to the frame with the belt. Not going to take it all apart, but you can kind of see behind here there's some more padding for the lumbar support. It just provides a little extra cushion, and then the belt goes through the back panel and through the frame itself. So that's what holds the lumbar pad off. So you can, I would say carefully because of the angle, you're not really going to wear this belt out, but might as well treat your gear right in my opinion. You can take this off. You can use this as a pillow or a backrest if you're sitting somewhere, however you want to do that. And if you need to use the belt for something, you can use the belt. So otherwise, the back panel is bolted on. It's attached somewhat with the belt. Then we've got these D-rings on the side that kind of help lash it to the frame. Once again, that's not really necessary, but I'd rather have more support than less support, I guess, for that thought. The shoulder pads are buckled to the frame, or are bolted to the frame down at the bottom with those same grade A bolts, leather washers top and bottom. The bedroll straps, and these could be a little longer in my opinion. I'll probably just go ahead and make up 2 more and send with it, or after I send it anyway. These are Chicago screws, so that they're completely removable also. And I haven't yet, but I would definitely put at least a medium grade Loctite on those. I don't anticipate them coming loose, but you never know, and it'd be a terrible thing to lose that. And these are just same thing, Chicago screws around the frame. This piece is just here to support the weight of the pack. It's also adjustable a little bit, just in case you want to widen that down a little bit, depending on what you're doing. So that is pretty much that. If you're not carrying a bedroll, these are punched to size to fit nice and snug against the bottom of the pack, so they're not just whipping around everywhere. And then you can just tuck this strap in underneath so that it's out of the way. So everything's nice and tight. chest strap. I made this pack for a bear of a man who can carry more than me and you. I'm sure of it. Otherwise he wouldn't have ordered such a pack. We discussed weight throughout the whole process, and he is confident in what he can and cannot do and the gear that he is going to put in this. So for him that is not an issue. For me it would be, because I can't carry so much weight necessarily. But empty weight for this pack is probably right at 30 pounds if I had to guess. All packed up and all put together with all the packing paper in it, it's just at 40 pounds. So I would guesstimate there's at least 10 pounds of packing paper in here because of the sheer amount that I have compressed into it. But so that's my guess. 30 pounds, that makes most men cringe. Good thing this guy is a grizzly bear. Otherwise he would probably cringe too. But that's what he wanted, something that would be bomb-proof and last through the nuclear apocalypse should there be one. And so that is what I set out to make, and I am pleased with what I have come up with here. Hopefully he is too, because if not, that will be a tragedy, just due to the amount of time that it has taken me to do this. Alright, go ahead. Alright, so that is that. Feel free to contact us if you saw any part of the bag that you would like to have just on its own. Be happy to make any of those pieces individually. If you are for some reason interested in a pack, get a hold of me. It will be a while before I could make another one of those. It probably takes a solid month worth of work. I'm not exactly positive of how long exactly it takes, because first of all, I didn't know what I was doing on this first one. So the design, there would be times where there would be 2 hours where I would just be staring and looking at the measuring implements and looking at the leather and trying to imagine what it was I was going to do. So there was a lot of time eaten up by just the design of the thing. And also the project ran so long that I had to turn out quite a few smaller projects in between and help Misty with some of the stuff that she's not able to do, like antler work and a lot of the veg tan stuff for the stuff that she was working on, just to keep her rolling. But I would guesstimate a solid month for a project like this, and this exact sort of pack, not less than $5 grand. And like I said before, if nobody wants one for that price and nobody wants to pay that, that is fabulous. That's fantastic. So that's that. I'm going to get off here and go in and eat some dinner, because it's getting cold and it's nice and warm inside. So stay tuned. I've got some other videos coming right on the heels of this one. I'll get them uploaded as I can. I don't really have good internet right now, but I have friends that do, so I'll be doing video uploads and editing at their place, just until we get settled in our new living spot, which is not quite finished yet. We're kind of in between dwellings, houseless but not homeless, by the grace of God alone. So that's it for me. Have a good day.